19th, 2018 meeting of the Radnor Zoning Hearing Board into session. Welcome and invite you to join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have before us a request for a continuance, so we're going to take things slightly out of the agenda order and address the continuance request. The continuance request is Appeal 3017, and I'm going to read this into the record. The applicant, Crotonville Holdings LLC, property located at 1024 East Lancaster Avenue and zoned R5 residential, seeks to convert approximately 450 square feet of an existing 3,370 square feet office building to retail use for a medical dispensary. Applicant seeks a variance from Section 280-34 of the zoning code for the retail use, a special exemption from Section 280-101A1 of the code to convert one nonconforming use to another nonconforming use, or a modification of the conditions imposed by a prior decision of the zoning hearing board. Additionally, applicant seeks a variance from Section 280-103B and/or Section 280-4 of the code regarding number and size of parking spaces. Contends that the parking is an existing nonconformity or that it is permitted by right. In the alternative, applicant requests such other relief as may be required consistent with the application, the exhibits, and the testimony presented at the hearing. Is a representative of the applicant here?
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Nicholas Cornelia representing the applicant. I had found out mid-afternoon that the two main witnesses would be unavailable or they're out of state. They were called out of state suddenly. As soon as I found out, I made some phone calls. I called Kevin, called John Rice, the Township solicitor, and spoke to them. John Rice said he had no objection to the continuance. I understand the board does not meet in August, so we're willing to extend the time until September. I then called John Ryan and advised him what was going on and said I would be forwarding a letter, which I did forward to Mr. Ryan, Mr. Kachansky, and Mr. Ryan and Mr. Nelson from the solicitor's office. And the letter basically states that we're requesting continuance until September 20th, 2018, which my understanding is the next listing for the zoning board in September, and also that we are extending the time when the zoning board may hear this matter by an additional 64 days, which is from tonight's to the day after September 20th, and that also that we further agree that a written decision would not be required until 45 days after conclusion of the hearing.
Nick, are the applicant and the operator related entities?
No.
So two unrelated individuals were called out of state on 4 hours' notice.
Well, I got the notice at 2 o'clock.
Just really bad luck?
I got the notice at 2 o'clock.
And did the applicant and the operator know 4 weeks ago when this hearing was scheduled, the hearing was tonight?
I do, yes.
Okay, if you could, we're going to grant the continuance. If you could advise your client that there will be no more continuances.
I understand.
So this item will either be heard on September 20th, you can withdraw it if you want, or it will be dismissed. There will be no more continuances.
I understand.
Okay.
One thing, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that he, if agreeable to you, that it would be 45 days after the conclusion of hearings in case we have a hearing that runs to the point where it has to be continued to another time. We're going to start the thing, but I don't know how big this is going to be.
Yes, I agree, and actually when I went through the letter or went through a summary, I did say 45 days after conclusion of all hearings.
That's fine.
Okay, continuance granted. Thank you. Okay, the next item, 203 Church Street. Appeal 2904, the applicant Anthony and Gloria Murray, property located at 203 Church Street, request an extension of the time for obtaining a permit under Section 280-144 of the zoning code for for an additional 6 months to February 24th, 2019.
Yes, sir.
If you could please put your name and address on the record and be sworn in.
Sir, would you raise your right hand? Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
So help me, I do.
And state your full name?
Anthony Vincent Mari, M-A-R-I.
Thank you.
So just tell us what's going on here.
I'm just waiting to get a building permit. I've been waiting for quite some time. And as soon as the moratorium is lifted, I'll be ready to go.
And perhaps Kevin can educate me and the other members of the board. Mr. Maury was here before, so what is peculiar to his property that we're having this circumstance here when we have not had it on others?
Absolutely. Most of the other applications that have been in front of you do not involve the application for sewer capacity. This application did. There is a moratorium on new connections, so we cannot issue building permits without having sewer capacity. So Mr. Maury is unable to apply for a building permit and is becoming in default of the zoning code, requiring him to apply for a building permit within that time period.
Thank you. Do any members of the board have questions of the witness? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. To motion to extend for 6 months? Is that,
There's a motion. Is there a second to that motion? Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
None opposed. It passes 5-0. Let's hope the circumstance works itself out for you. Good luck.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Is there, do we see anytime soon, or is there a heads up?
That would not be for the record of this meeting. You can speak to Mr. Kachansky, or perhaps you could reach out to your commissioner, and they may have some thoughts. We're in the dark on that point.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Appeal 3018, the applicant John Vellatini, property located at 106 Walnut Avenue and zoned R2 residential, is seeking relief from Chapter 280 zoning, Article 17, floodplain conservation district, Section 280-76, permitted uses or such other relief as required by the zoning code. I think there's a bit of a garble there, but I'm sure the witness will clarify for us the relief requested. Please state your name and address and be sworn in.
Hi, my name's John David Vellatini, 106 Walnut Avenue.
Sir, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
It will.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm seeking variance to a zoning code 28076 floodplain district for improvements to be made on the back of my home. And admittedly, I have to actually refer to the verbiage of that code. Let me see. 28076. Yeah, so within any designated floodplain conservation district, no construction, development, use, activity, or encroachment of any kind shall be allowed except where the effect of such proposed activity in the flood heights
Please
is...
slow down, because I'm taking you down.
Oh.
Just read slow.
Oh, okay. Except where the effect of such proposed activity on flood heights is fully offset by accompanying stream improvements. That's 28076.
So for the record and for the board, could you describe for us, and give us a sense of where your property is located in the township, and describe and summarize the project you want to proceed with?
So I'm at 106 Walnut Avenue, and my property is on and includes Gulf Creek. So I have both sides of the creek. So I'm 3 houses in from North Wayne Avenue on the right-hand side. And so it's Poplar, Walnut, and then West Beach Tree, I think, or East Beach Tree. So I'm looking to construct improvements to my property. One, small raised deck, replacing one small raised deck with a slightly larger one, and that's going to be 4 feet high. The current one is 4 feet high. And I'm also going to put in a flagstone patio at grade, and that's going to be constructed of, we're just going to strip off the top layer, fill that in with crushed stone, and put flagstone down. The deck is composed of pressure-treated lumber, composite board, and vinyl. The home is anywhere between 98 years old and 100 years old, so it predates any floodplain regulations or zoning regulations for that matter. My house sits right on top of my next-door neighbors. So, so the way the patio is being, the flagstone patio is being constructed, there's no displacement of any floodwaters should they occur because it's at grade.
You had submitted with your application a series of photographs.
Yes.
Do you happen to have a set of those with you today?
I have them, I've got them on a stick. I have a computer too.
No, well, and maybe, I'm seeing Kevin move, but I'm not sure. Here's what I'm going to suggest. Do the other members have those materials?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give them to you,
Okay.
and if you put them on the table so they can be viewed by the people, by the 1 or 2 individuals watching at home, and then, as you think would be helpful, show us on these pictures where the work is going to be done.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, a laptop is forthcoming.
I think we
Yeah,
can move forward.
thanks,
I think.
Kevin.
Do this analog.
Right. Yeah. If you have an additional witness, the witness should introduce himself, give his address, and be sworn in. And then I will invite the 2 of you in whatever approach you think helpful to show us both on the diagram and via the pictures, again, what's intended.
Okay, thanks.
So please give us your name and address and be sworn in.
My name is David Fiorello. I'm a professional engineer with the firm of Momini, Inc. in Bryn Mawr.
And if you will raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
No need to do a question and answer colloquially, but just between the 2 of you, show us first on the site plan where the work is intended, and then using the photographs, give us a sense of where the work is.
The next one that shows, let me, if I can. The site plan shows the property and topography plan. The existing dwelling is to the east side of the property, pretty much along the property line. Gulf Creek, as John said, runs along the western portion. The house is delineated midway through the plan with a detached one-car garage behind that. There's an area between the house and the garage. Currently, we have shown in red here the small deck and a walkway from that deck to the driveway that sits right opposite the garage. John's intent is to remove the existing walkway and the patio and the stairs, or I'm sorry, the deck and the stairs at that location. And as shown on the second plan, is to construct a slightly larger deck off of the back of the building and somewhat of an infill area between the back of the house and the garage with an at-grade patio.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have copies of those, and we ought to mark them as exhibits, because
Okay. The site plans we have in our package, and I would suggest,
We submitted 2 site plans, and I have 2 additional plans.
okay,
to bring.
and those can be marked as A1. Do you have those?
I do not. I have the
Okay.
A1 would be the application,
Okay, thank you.
and I have an email chain.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, the application will be A1. The plans will be A2, and if somebody from the board could share with me one of their sets of photographs, perhaps. And that will be A3, and I'll pass these down to the solicitor, and you guys should continue now.
That generally is the location, as John said. The deck is off the back of the building. It is slightly larger than the existing, at the same elevation of the back door, since the back door is 4 feet above grade. The intent is, as John said, to strip the existing topsoil and to install the patio at the same grade as the existing area, so that there's no change in the floodplain elevation or that would cause any conflicts or interference with current flood heights.
Could I ask one of you to use those photographs that you have there and put them on the table, and similarly, I mean, just kind of walk us through? I think it's somewhat self-evident, but.
Yeah, so the area Dave pointed out, so this, let's see if I got, right, so right there where my finger is approximately where that bush is, okay? So this area here is where the flagstone patio is going to be, right, you know, that's here on the plan and here, right here on the picture. And then this is the deck that's being removed with a slightly larger one. And the creek will run alongside here. I'll flip a page here for a better perspective. Yeah, so here's here's better look at the driveway. That's Walnut Avenue. Doing okay so far? Okay. That's more of a close-up. So that's the existing deck, garage right here. So this is being taken up. That was indicated on the original, the first drawing Dave showed. A little closer. There's a that's the Bilko door. Okay. Patio's not going to come all the way up there. There's going to be some grass, as indicated right here. This is going to be grass. That's another perspective.
I think that's good to give us a sense of what you're proposing. If I could jump ahead for the record, I also want to remind the board that under the code, section 280-81B, there's a requirement to receive input from the township engineer on requests for variances of this type. And I will mark and pass down as A4 an email, which I think I circulated to the other members of the board earlier this month, which reads in relevant part from Roger Phillips of Gannett Fleming Engineers, addressed to Steve Norsini, the township engineer, in reference to this project. Upon reviewing the plan, aerial mapping, and the attached photo, I have no objections to the construction of the deck and patio, as it will not affect the floodway.
I actually have a copy of this.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do any of the members of the board have any questions of the applicant?
John, how long have you lived in the house?
Since 2011.
Okay, have you had any flooding in the backyard area?
I have.
Uh-huh. And is it, like, has it come up far enough to reach where those steps are on the deck?
Only in one instance.
Okay.
I think it was Hurricane Irene. And it was about, I don't know, maybe about that. When I say those steps.
The deck steps, the existing deck steps.
Yeah, just came underneath them about that high.
Yeah,
And
so if
as
that
you-
happened again, this new patio would be underwater, basically.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea is there's nothing that would change the water flow or obstruct it
No.
with the new patio.
No.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions of the applicant or his witness? I'm sure if you were a lawyer, you would move these exhibits for admission?
Remove these?
Move the exhibits for admission to the record.
Move forward with it.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, now, we're going to now discuss and vote, so I just want to give you sort of a last chance to say anything else you want to in connection with your application.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I will. I'll take the opportunity, especially since one of the big things on the agenda was canceled tonight, so I think we have a little more time. I wasn't expecting to get a parking space tonight. So, I mean, to the extent that I can present a hardship, you know, I know in some of these cases that's kind of a reach, but the backyard, I really can't use much of the backyard because it's really boggy. And this is the area this is really the only area that I can really use and convert to usable space that I can, you know, enjoy. I spoke to, you know, I had to do the mailing. I spoke to about 14 neighbors that were, you know, included in that mailing. And of those 14, no one had any concerns with the project. And I spoke to everybody who's had, including myself. I've lost 2 cars. I lost 2 cars in 2012. So I spoke to my neighbors who were negatively impacted by those events, and they had no concerns. So, and I
Thank you.
think that's it.
Okay, thank you. To start our dialogue, would anyone like to make a motion for discussion?
I'll make a motion for conference to discuss.
No, I want a motion to either approve or reject, and then see if we get a motion on the table for purposes of,
I'll make a motion to approve.
okay, motion on the table, a second?
Second.
Okay. Let's discuss it. Anyone want to share any perspectives?
So I guess the only thing we're being asked is particular section 280-76. That's the only
Right, it's not.
relief we're being asked
Right,
for.
it's not a use variance, it's not a dimensional variance.
So to the extent the deck itself is in
If-
compliance
but-
or not,
but-
we're not being asked.
Well, I mean, and if anyone wants to correct me, I'm open to it, but for the fact that this is in a floodplain district, he would have received his permit for that without being before us.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
So
that's-
the reason he's here is peculiarly having to do with the
Understood.
floodplain
That's
consideration.
what my understanding was. I wanted to confirm that.
And my perspective is, while I think we want to be careful about providing variances to this provision, I think we do have the feedback for the township engineer, which is important for us to receive. They're the experts. And the amount of work is relatively modest. And I think it's a reasonable accommodation from my perspective. So, seeing no other comments, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0. Good luck with your project. Thanks for your patience with it, and thanks for coming in.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.
And before I close out, since we're still on the record, our colleague Matt Hommick has informed us that he is moving out of the township, and as such will be resigning from the board after today. We've enjoyed serving on the zoning hearing board with him. We appreciate his service to the township, and we wish him and his family all the best as they move a few miles away. Thank you. And with that, meeting adjourned.